Wait it again. 15 minutes for be finished. Okay.
Aduh, gini-gini
And
ngaji
then
ya.
we have time for
Alamat iki.
lunch
Alamat
at
iki live.
12 p.m. until 1:30 p.m. And then after that, we should gathering here for continue the presentation. Okay? Any question? 20 to 20. Yeah. Okay. For the first presentation. Is address tiga pertama Putra with the title Assessing Silica Precipitation Using Calcium Hydroxide Addition on King Geothermal Power Plant Run. Please come to the phone.
Okay, good morning, everybody. I'm Jessica. I'm from the University of Auckland. Today I'm going to present about the assessing silica precipitation using calcium hydroxide addition from TN geothermal brine. Next. So, when we are talking about the climate change issue, it is very close to the renewable energy. There are several renewable energy that we can utilize. There are wind, biomass, geothermal, hydropower, and solar power. But today I'm going to talk specifically about the geothermal power plant. Next. When we are talking about geothermal power plants, it is very similar to a normal coal-fired power plants because it utilizes steam to generate electricity from turbine. The only difference is that the geothermal power plant do not burn any fuel to heat the fluid because we originally get the steam or hot water from beneath the earth and utilize it to generate electricity in our turbine. So there's a significant difference between utilizing geothermal power plant and coal-fired power plant. Here in the graph, you can see that the emission of carbon dioxide in geothermal power plant only emits about 60 kilogram per megawatt hour. But the coal-fired power plant emits like 1,000 kilogram per megawatt hour. In terms of two other notorious greenhouse gas like SO2 and NOx, geothermal do not emit any of them. But the coal-fired power plant emits about 4.5 kilogram per megawatt hour of SO2 and about 2 kilogram per megawatt hour of NOx. Next. And here's the condition of geothermal in Indonesia. Next. Currently, we have 28,000 megawatt of predicted potential. That will account for about 40% of world's total potential. But today, we only have 1.9 thousand megawatt of electricity. So there is still a long way to go to achieve this big potential. Next. And one of the hurdles in the geothermal power plant is the operation and maintenance cost. The operation and maintenance cost in the geothermal power plant. The operation and maintenance cost of a geothermal power plant will consume about 25% of the total revenue, and it accounts at about 1.79 US cent per kilowatt. That is big amount of money. Next. And the normal problem that we have in the geothermal power plant is two: the corrosion in the pipeline and the scaling. But today I'm going to talk specifically about the scaling. Next. And here is the example that we have in Dieng. This is the geothermal power plant in Dieng. Usually we can see that there is a silencer and wheel box here. the silencers and weir pump is used to measure the flow rate of the geothermal fluid that you have in your power plant. Usually it's located nearby the cooling pond here. The cooling pond here is used to cool down the geothermal brine to an atmospheric condition and also to precipitate the silica scaling in it, so that when we re-inject the geothermal brine to the earth again, the pipeline will not face several pipe scaling. Next. And this is also another example that I have visited during my study in the University of Auckland, the Nga'awa Purua geothermal power plant. You can also see it here, the silencer and weir box is located nearby the cooling pond and the reinjection pump. But it doesn't always mean that the reinjection pumps do not face silica scaling in the pipelines. So in this research, we are focusing on how to precipitate the silica in the cooling pond to be more faster. Next. And one of the solutions is to create calcium silicate using this equation. Usually in your geothermal power plant, always you can find amorphous silica in your geothermal brine. If you react it with the calcium hydroxide, you can create calcium silicate. This calcium silicate will precipitate more easily than normal amorphous silica. Next. Okay, now we are talking about the procedure. The first procedure is to create a standard calibration curve using spectrophotometry analysis. The first step that we use in this research is to create 1000 ppm of silica, amorphous silica, and then dilute it to create 900, 800, 700, 800, and so on. And when we get the solution, we calibrate its absorbance using this spectrophotometry. And when we get the correlation between the concentration and the absorbance, we plot it in this graph, and we simply get this linear equation using spreadsheet. Next. And then the second procedure is to create the NCS. Here, as you can see, this is the set of equipments that we use in this research. This is the bigger glass that is used in the research. We react the geothermal brine and the calcium hydroxide powder in this beaker glass. The beaker glass here is connected to the hot plate magnetic stirrer and a pump, so that we can adjust the pH, the temperature, and the reaction time. The pump here is connected to two funnels. The first funnel is used to separate the NCS and the geothermal brine that is not reacted. And then the second funnel here is used to collect the geothermal brine that is not reacted with the calcium hydroxide to ensure that you only get the liquid, not the carryover of any solids of NCS. We also add Whatman filter paper here, so that you only get your liquid. The liquid is then analyzed again using the spectrophotometry analysis to get the absorbance. And when we get the absorbance, we can get the solution concentration of the silica. Next. And then this is the variable design and results. As you can see here, we use full 2 to the power 3 factorial design of experiment. And you can see here, the PC level here is the lowest concentration that we get, that use 5 minutes time of reaction, 70 degrees Celsius temperature, and the pH of 9. Next. And then the significance study shows that the pH is the most significant variable in this research. Temperature is very insignificant because it is very flat here, and the time is less significant, but still there is still slope here. Okay, next. Okay, we come to the conclusion. So that calcium hydroxide is proven to be a precipitant again in the geothermal brine to create NCS. A full 2-level factorial design is proven to be effective in determining the significant variable. The most most significant variable in this research is the pH. That is affected by the addition of calcium hydroxide. Next. Now, before I finish this presentation, I would like to express my gratitude to all parties that support me to bring this paper to you all. The first is the Department of Chemical Engineering, University of Gajah Mada, and then Geodipa Energy Corporate Limited, the Community Resilience and Economic Development Karib Universitas Gajah Mada, and also LPDB Solarship. Thank you.
Okay, now it's time for discussion. If there are any question, please raise your hand. Okay.
It's very extraordinary research, I think, because it's about the energy. But in my mind, thank you. The first question is, can you explain to us where is the source of the geothermal in Indonesia? It's just in Sumatra, Java, or another island in Indonesia? It's the first question. And the second question, it is the high cost of technology, I think. In my mind, if in Indonesia there is no corruption, yeah, I think Indonesia can get geothermal. Very a lot of source, I think, in Indonesia. What is in your opinion about it? Thank you.
So now for the first question, I can answer for the Indonesian map.
I think there is not necessarily this.
So Indonesia is located in the Ring of Fire, as we can see here. Along this island, Sumatra, southern island of Java, and then cut through the Sulawesi here to the Philippines. That is not here, of course. That is the Ring of Fire, where we can find mostly active volcanoes. That is the source of geothermal power. There are several conditions that need to be accomplished for a volcano that can be utilized as geothermal power plant. That is, if we talk about the geology time frame, the young volcano still cannot be utilized as a geothermal source because it's still eruptive. It's still very dangerous to develop geothermal power plant nearby there. So after the volcano died, we can now start to develop geothermal power plant. After the volcano died, but the magma is still there. And if we talk furthermore about the geologic time of the volcano, if the magma is gone, the volcano can be utilized as the gold mining, like the Papua here. We have many dead volcanoes there. Always, if there's a volcano and it's dead for a million years, it always have gold. So active volcano and then geothermal and then gold. But the time frame is very long, million years. And for the second question about the development of geothermal energy in Indonesia, actually the government has set a goal for 2025 to create 7,000 of megawatt electricity using geothermal power plant. That is a big number, but the problem is that to create such a big number needs big effort. And if we talk about money, the hardest part of creating or developing geothermal power plant is the exploration stage and research in the first stage of. First, we came in the field and we measure things like temperature, pressure, and many other things, chemical. That is the most difficult time, and the most what is it? Expensive stage is the drilling. So geothermal is very close to the petroleum engineering study, and but the drilling of geothermal is way more expensive than it is. Actually, it is quite the same as drilling oil and gas industry, but we only get steam, not oil. We cannot sell it. So the risk is very big. If we got oil, we can sell them and export it, and we got money directly, right? But the geothermal power plant needs to be utilized in its sites. And during my study, I also told by the lecturer that there are several hurdles in the bureaucracy in Indonesia. From the first start, we studied the geothermal site until we can generate electricity from it. It takes about 10 years. It is very long. So now one of the way of researchers and practitioners in order to help the government to create 7,000 megawatt of electricity, instead of also creating new plants, we also enhancing the old plants, like the research was done.
So it needs few steps,
Many steps
to get
to get the geothermal power plant
the
running.
high cost and
Yeah, in the initial cost is very big.
Thank you.
In one site drilling, it can take about 10 million US dollar. That is, yeah. Usually when we build usually when we build chemical plant design, we can get our money back in like 3 years, 4 years, 6 years. But not in geothermal. You can only get your money back in perhaps 13 years, 14 years, like, yeah. Because the initial cost is very.
Thank you so much. Any question?
Already time is over.
Oh, thank you.
Time is over. So maybe if you have a question, please. Please. To the next to the presentation. So number 2 is Matika Sakto. The title is Flare Gas Recovery as the Clean Development Mechanism Practice. I want to try to present my review about flare gas recovery as one of the clean development mechanism or CDM practices. We from UNIP and ICCC. Introduction: the population Indonesia increasing 28% from 20 to 2010 until present. It means more increasing demand of energy. Exploitation oil and gas, it's more needed, and it will be followed by associated gas burning. It's called flare gas. And that from this activity will be impact in environment impact, like increasing the CO2 concentration, increasing earth temperature, polar ice melting, rising sea water level or coastline rising, and climate change. Next. This is oil gas processing. First step is land clearing. We clear the tree because oil and gas mostly in forest. I'm not state that in all of the forest, but mostly in forest land. And then we get exploitation to get extraction the
hydrocarbon from the earth to the surface, and we get processing on the plant. So we get to transportation hydrocarbon, then to consumer. We can upstream processes it's land clearing until transportation hydrocarbon, and then we can call downstream hilir migas in Indonesia. Hilir migas is from transportation to consumer or end user. In exploration exploitation, we burn some associated gas. It's called flare gas as black carbon. Indonesia flaring is 749 MSCFD or billion square cubic feet per day from totally 8 million to 8,077 MSCFD in the world. Next. Definition of flaring gas. Associated gas burned from petroleum production process due to its economical feasibility or for safety. The reason for the flaring gas is unused gas during the purification process, excess gas that cannot be used for commercial purpose, the steam collected from the top tank that occur during the refining process, remaining gas when production stop and start. So for the safety plan, and during the process of upset, maintenance, and equipment replacement. This is for air impacts. Flaring can emitting some GHGs like CO2 and GH4, and it can make the greenhouse effects. Next. For human impact, human being, respiratory disorder like asthma, bronchitis, blood disorder, leukemia, anemia, bone mass abnormality, premature births with low weight, fertility impairment, memorial disorder, cancer, kidney disorder, lung organ damage, neurological disorder for long time exposure. Accident can be happen indirectly for human with the low pH can affect human mucous membrane, gastrointestinal wall, and abdominal organs. And this is economic impact. Flare gas can impact to microclimate condition of a region, decrease soil fertility because increasing soil and life temperature. Decrease in crop production can impact food scarcity, food price increases, and welfare of local farmers. This is FGR, flare gas recovery. It's for utilizing the flare gas, like reinjection or AOR, enhancing oil recovery. It can be used to GTG, gas turbine generator, PNG, pipeline natural gas. It's usually from offshore or sea to the land, dari laut ke darat. LPG, liquefied petroleum gas. LNG, liquefied natural gas. CNG, compressed natural gas. NGH, natural gas hydrates. GTE, gas to ethylene methanol, and GTL, gas to liquid. This is I can obtain from literature study. Next. This is simple concept of CDM related with flare gas. Everything, the important thing between environment and safety. We can flare, but we rethink again. Environment or safety. Reuse, use for other purpose like fuel on the loop concept. So the flare gas will be emit the CO2 and CO2 will be CO2 and methane, and the methane will be get to the fuel for the plant. And the next, reduce minimal plan to minimize environment impact. Of course, recovery, the waste is more useful with the other utilization. And the last, recycle, reinject to maintain reservoir pressure so that the fluid will flow by itself. Next. Conclusion. There's correlation between increasing population and energy demand, because the increasing population, it means with energy demand increasing too. Associated gas is emerging from drilling, workover is like maintenance well, workover and refinery. Flaring gas has an impact on environment, people, and the economy. And then FGR for flaring gas comprise our EOR activities, power plant, PNG, LPG, CNG, NGH, GDE, and GDL. And FGR is one of CDM practice which can be used to produce a more environmentally friendly production process. This is my account. This is my main talk for my discussion about this oil gas industry. Okay, I want to see this slide for next century. Thank you.
One of the criteria of yours is to the company. My question is, the Indonesian oil companies are open-minded to open their data for the purpose of academic. I mean, sometimes private companies doesn't have open mind if the purpose of the data is for academic. But in the case of your country, how about the situation?
You mean the private company can
Provide the data
provide the
for the purpose of the
the
academic.
academic in this country? Not it's very difficult. The data is very difficult. But if we can, this is the part of my research about SEA, and then it's very difficult to get data from the oil and gas company actually, because the commonly data, the general data, we can get it from the company, such as emission monitoring and daily production, and we can count for the impact environment based on the data. So because in this country we get green label, so we have a rule for the company, so they have to periodically monitoring is one of their purpose to the environment, to the green environment.
I also want to add some details about the data that we can get from the company usually. So there are two main things that run in oil and gas industry. That is above the ground and below the ground. And usually, if you want to know the well data, there's no way you can get the well data, but down on the temperature and such things, because the well is the company assets. But of course gross data, maybe some way you can like
Yeah, we
still
can
go
get it.
through it.
It's strictly confidential. So we can get, we get from general data. Thank you for.
Okay, one information, please, if you want to have a snack, drink or tea or coffee, please have yourself in the behind. You can have that.
Siap.
Coffee in the right. Coffee in the right, and then coffee or tea, and then snack in the left. Please, if you want to have.
Masih live streaming bisa.
Especially when they have finished the presentation. Tenang.
Okay, we will continue to the next presentation. The joint presenter is Mati Vivi Alfiantai. Please come to the front. The title is Potential Absorption of Carbon Emission in the Green Open Space Low Level and Kalajakan at Singaraja dan Global Unit.
I will present our research entitled Carbon sequestration by above ground biomass in urban green spaces in Surakarta city. Well, in Indonesia, proportional population live in cities or urban area has reached 57% by 2010 and is expected to reach 68% by 2025. But especially Java and Bali profiles, the level of urbanization are much higher than the total Indonesian population living in urban areas. Especially in Bali, the level of urbanization in 2025 is estimated to over 79%. Is very expected. As a result, some environmental issues emerge in terms of land use, greenhouse gas emission, especially about CO2 released to the atmosphere. The government program to the law of the Republic of Indonesia number 29 of 2007 that concerning spatial planning. This requires its municipality to provide and utility urban green spaces of at least 30% of the total area. From urban green space, field plan and plant system to support urban ecosystem service. Therefore, the urban green spaces contribute reducing the atmospheric concentration of CO2. This implementation in part also have the capacity to store carbon. This picture the park in Surakarta city. You can play in Bali. This study to estimate the carbon storage potential of urban green spaces in Surakarta city, Buleleng district, Bali province. This city was chosen because it has a relatively large urban green space than other towns in Bali province. The signature was founded in Surakarta city Singaraja city is located in the northern part of Bali Island. Northern. Sample biomass were obtained from 17 zones of urban green species, including 7 places in boulevards and 10 places in roadside. The chemical analysis was conducted at the laboratory in Indonesia. Litter and herbaceous biomass were calculated by biomass expansion factor and carbon stored is resolved by biomass total divided percent carbon and CO2 release we find from massa relative massa CO2 divided atau relative carbon divided stock carbon. The result of this research indicate that boulevard more mostly dominated by herbaceous and litter, but roadside dominated by tree. This it seems from the average biomass value between roadside increase and the herbaceous. In contrast, average sea organic percent much higher in herbaceous than the average biomass. But its large size in trees before tree stock carbon and CO2 sink is much higher and the tree in the boulevard and outside. If we compare in this research and the other similarity studies, its similarities, the trees average biomass value in the trees is much higher. Usmadi, located in Balikpapan Botanical Garden, he has biomass trees much higher than herbaceous, like the same. And the Charan report that vegetation in the form of trees with diameter of 13 centimeter was the most storing biomass than herbaceous and litter. Okay. If we compare the value carbon storage in this research and the other similarity studies, the carbon storage in this research, urban green species in Singaraja city is lower than the study, similarity study other. If we compare the herbaceous average biomass in herbaceous and trees, the lowest biomass in herbaceous is occur due to the intensity of sunlight that reaches the ground is very low, due to very high canopy consumed. The low intensity of sunlight result in the number of herbaceous which can grow relatively tall, so that the production of understored biomass that your pressure is low. For CO2, CO2, the roadside CO2 is potential than the boulevard because we can see the value is more higher. The conclusion is research, although the carbon content in trees is much lower than the present in herbaceous and litter, because of the amount of biomass it has, making its potential to sink CO2 is much higher. Therefore, the presence of trees in the urban green spaces is very important in providing ecosystem service, especially in reducing greenhouse gas emissions, especially CO2. That is all for me. Any questions?
I have two questions for you. First question, before you get the data of the sea content of the plant, you should measure the biomass of the tree, right? And I want to know how you can get the data of the biomass tree. And then the second, why the sink of the from the roadside is higher than the boulevard?
One, I get data from the tree, biomass of tree. I can from destructive, non-destructive method. But for herbaceous and litter, destructive method. I can from destructive method. This is the allometric equation for the tree. I can allometric from here. I get biomass and it's in the tree. But for the biomass in herbaceous and litter, I get biomass expansion factor.
So you don't need to have the tree, right?
Very difficult because not in urban green spaces in Singaraja city, penanaman pohon itu di support oleh dinas lingkungan hidup. So it's very difficult if we cut the trees. But for the part in herbaceous and litter, I can get this stuff.
Can we cover maybe after?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next question. We Tiongkari Satya. With the title is Architectural Carbon Sequestration in Applied Water System Universe.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I will talk about carbon sequestration, like the third question mentioned. But this is my field experiment. Like we heard yesterday that sequestration is part of the way to reduce global warming. So I want to know in the cultivation it can reduce global warming or it can increase global warming. So I want to assess what is the upland rice system can make sequestration. Introduction. Global warming has many negative impacts like drought and crop failure. And carbon dioxide has a big role in global warming. It can increase the temperature. So the concentration in the atmosphere must be reduced. Agricultural cultivation activities can reduce and produce carbon dioxide. So, to improve of management cultivation and mitigate climate change, also reduce emission from agriculture, we must know the potential of the cultivation to sequestration carbon in the soil. And if we know the potential of plant and we know about yield and of plant, we can choose the management to mitigate global warming. The purpose of my research is to assess the sequestration and release carbon from the cultivation of upland rice with management use straw and mycorrhiza application. This is the method of research. We use straw. Two kinds of straw, which is fresh straw and winter straw. Fresh straw we choose from the rice plant after harvest. But the winter straw we collect from the rice plant one season before. So fresh straw is no much decomposition, but winter straw higher decomposition. And mycorrhiza, we use mycorrhiza as the experiment and no mycorrhiza. Just I do application straw in the field and mycorrhiza update when planting rice with ER64 varieties that has been seeded before for 15 days. I use a plot with a size 2 by 6 meter and spacing planting 25 centimeters. To calculate sequestration carbon, I need many indicator of observation data. There are many parts in my research. This is one of input carbon in the field and output carbon in the field. Input carbon consists of carbon from food that left in the soil and carbon from straw that added to the soil, and carbon in the soil as a store carbon stored in the deposit or store soil and carbon in soil. And component of output consists of carbon dioxide emission and C for straw and grain from the yield. So if input carbon higher than output carbon, this is the sequestration. But if input carbon is lower than output carbon, so many carbon is lost to the. There are my variables that I done in the experiment is we measure carbon dioxide emissions, use closed chamber, and we analyze carbon from soil, carbon from root, straw, and grain, and data will be analyzed with F test at 5% level probability, continuous with EMFT or multi-rank test. The result of my research, I done my research in Jumantono with alpisol soil. This is character of alpisol soil in Jumantono. You can see here the organic matter is very low, and nitrogen also low, potassium, calcium also low, but magnesium, natrium, cation exchange capacity is moderate. So if we look at data here, we can show that alpisol has relatively low activity because there are many indicators show the low frequency. And this is character of straw that I use in the field. The fresh straw is from plant that just harvest has a carbon 57 and regular straw has carbon 39 and fresh straw has carbon nitrogen ratio higher than regular straw. Also, fresh straw has lignin higher than regular straw. The result of my experiment, you can see here that in plot without straw, so the carbon is lower than plot with straw, fresh or without straw. It is just the same. No differences between fresh straw and without straw on soil organic carbon. But if we compare with the no straw, the carbon is higher. We can see here that C output of C lowest without straw and without nitrogen, and the highest output of C is without straw with nitrogen, and the lowest carbon output can be found in the rain without straw in Indonesia, and the highest carbon output is found in the Indonesia with fresh straw. Sorry, fresh straw and based on this data, the highest concentration found in the fresh straw with conclusion, application of straw fresh or with the straw increase total organic carbon, and application of straw incorporate with Indonesia increase sequestration say up to 26.31 milligram per hectare. So the application of fresh or with straw with inoculation of Indonesia on uplands need to be continued for maintenance of organic carbon in the soil and for carbon dioxide. Acknowledgement is research was supported by Kemendikbud. The author thank you Dean of Agriculture, University of Maret, for supporting and providing the scholarship funding for this.
I heard two bells, so there is no question. One question maybe. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you, Bunino, for your presentation. I wonder which is we can choose that simple for application, whether or fresh straw. Sorry, not depend on the result, yeah. But if I want to apply the straw, which is that we can choose, whether or fresh.
In my opinion, I choose weather straw because the data, another data I saw that the yield of the rice is higher with weather straw than fresh straw. So if we can choose, I choose weather.
Mr. Ali.
Okay, maybe instead of the finish to Okay, coming to the next presenter. Number 5 is Mariana Nikuniawati. The title is the Dynamic of Methane Emission in Organic and Conventional Rice Fields on Apisol and Anisol Estera Management Indonesia.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everybody. This research is my primary research. I will present the research. The title, the dynamic of methane emission in organic and conventional vegetable This research is my primary research part of my dissertation. Introduction. Agriculture is one of the major environmental problems that cause mainly the increasing emission of anthropogenic greenhouse gas. Agriculture is a sector that contributes about 20% of the global atmospheric greenhouse gas concentration. This basically are main source of methane emission. Organic farming management was developed to improve food quality, especially on mutual and transportation, but this farming system may be result in higher methane emission than conventional farming management. This research was carried out with the survey with conventional and organic farming management in two types of soil, namely alkisol in Dentungan village and andisol in Ngatidue village. This village are sub-district from Karanganyar Regency. Emission gas, methane gas emission was measured for time when in 1535, 65 and 100 days after planting in each location. Methane gas samples were fed with chamber that had 50 and with 50 and height 100 centimeter cubic analysis by gas chromatography. Gas productivity was determined by calculating total yield with 2.5 meters cubic. Usually we call UB9. This is the map of research location. This village Ngatidue and Dentungan. This location is part of Karanganyar Regency. This is Karanganyar Regency organic agriculture region. This head of the Karanganyar Regency Decision Letter. Jadi ini adalah kawasan pertanian organik di Kabupaten Karanganyar yang sudah di-SK-kan oleh Bupati. Result and discussion. The first, I answer the farmer usually doing with the lab treatment process and andisol konvensional. Andisol konvensional was 1,000 and organic andisol 3,000, organic andisol 2,000. Treatment irrigation system, technical, conventional andisol with technical irrigation, organic andisol with technical irrigation system, and organic andisol with technical irrigation system. The variety and conventional andisol with mentet, conventional andisol with ciherang, organic andisol with glutinous rice, we call ketan, beras ketan, dan organic andisol variety with jempol black rice. Treatment switching eggs, conventional andisol 15 days after switching, conventional andisol 50 days after switching, organic andisol 15 days after switching, and organic andisol 50 days after switching. The treatment conventional, undissolved conventional, and organic undissolved, organic undissolved, organic undissolved, then nutrition, with conventional undissolved with chemical fertilization, conventional undissolved with chemical fertilizer, organic undissolved just co-manure, organic undissolved just co-manure. This is post-industrial fertilizer that apply climate. Then total methane emission in particular in one plantation period, the height and undissolved organic. Whereas figure 2, we can see relationship of total methane emission with soil organic material. We can see the higher emission that to show higher organic material. Figure 3, the methane emission fluctuation in pesticide in one planting season period. We can see the higher in 55 day after planting. The figure 5, paddy productivity, we can see conventional more high productivity. Conclusion, the treatment of undissolved with conventional farming management in the highest methane emission in paddy field for one plantation. Then this results due to the decomposition process of the organic matter followed when the anaerobic condition of paddy field participate in the increase the methane production. And the high methane emission were obtained at the active clearing phase 35 days after planting, since the effect of loose conditioner. The birth of undissolved and undissolved conventional farming management result in high price productivity, where organic farming management result in better economically and in preserving the environment.
Mariana.
Mbak Mariana, excuse me, I want to ask you, you said that you take sample in organic plant with setting by regional license official. But your I see on your side you use like fertilizer on star or the SP. So I want to ask you, I think the organic is less artificial fertilizer, like that. So it's not affected to the soil or the chemical fertilizer. I'm sorry, my English not good. Jadi, kenapa tadi di lahan organik ada kimianya tadi ya? Jadi memang penelitian saya ini di lahan organik, tetapi ada sebagian lahan yang petakannya itu tidak organik. Jadi memang saya membandingkan anisol dan misalnya di tanah anisol ini ada yang dibudidayakan dengan konvensional dan ada yang dibudidayakan dengan organik, itu sudah tempat yang berbeda.
So you just investigating in chemical fertilizer. Jadi aplikasinya perlakuannya itu hanya di chemical saja. Maksudnya tadi kan pakai berapa persen.
Jadi yang di anisol konvensional ini just chemical fertilizer, and anisol organic just comb and
very small question. If it shows after the introduction part, the average rice production is 2.5. Maybe the unit is not so clear, so please tell me the unit.
Which part?
Maybe after the introduction.
After
After the
introduction.
introduction part. Yeah,
After the
maybe.
introduction.
Yes. Yes. The last line. Rice productivity. Indonesian Statistics Bureau, the 2.5 what? 2.5 what? Ton or kilogram per square meter or 2.5 what? 2 point.
Bukan rice productivity.
Rice productivity per hectare or what is the unit?
kalkulasi total yield. Jadi kalau ini ubinan in Indonesia, all data productivity rice in Indonesia usually make this method.
Special unit
Yeah.
for calculate rice. That's for measure productivity unit.
Sample.
Something.
We just sampling. We can predict for the productivity in area by the sample area with 2.2 meters square. So we call it Indonesia ubinan. Sample area.
Sample area.
Sample area. Yes, ubinan. Called ubinan. So we can predict the productivity for the area per hectare. Per hectare.
5 square meter.
Yeah, it will officially in
Yeah, maybe. I will ask.
officially in law.
In this country,
Ada
untuk menghitung produktivitas padi kita harus impor atau enggak itu anjuran government pakai ini metodenya.
Maybe, but in my sense, if the rice productivity shows the ton per hectare or kilogram per square meter or yes, rice
Itu yang nggak
productivity
cocok itu rice
or
productivity.
yield or production
Yeah.
or tons
Yeah.
tons or
Yeah,
this one is the 2.5.
Maybe
ton per hektar.
This one?
Bisa
variannya konversi.
dikonversikan.
Maybe after this you can discuss with her, yeah?
Just both of you. Because both of you.
Yeah. Okay, next to
Number 6 is Helena Susinawati. With the title is Opportunity to Energy from Paddy Rice, Paddy Rice Products in Indonesia.
And today I would like to share my use studies in different religious research. The title of my presentation is Opportunities to Mitigate Greenhouse Gas Emission from Paddy Rice Field in Indonesia. Content is almost similar with the previous presenter. Maybe the previous presenter also talked about the population in Indonesia. Maybe in short, we have the highest population in the world, number 4. I mean, after China, India, United States of America, and then the population nowadays has almost reached 250,000 million of people, and predicted will be reached more than 300,000 million. So more population, more food should be provided. And actually Indonesia is the 3rd highest rice producer in the world after China again and then India. But we can see from the figure since 1960 until nowadays, until today, that the total consumption of rice higher than the production, maybe because of Indonesian eat more rice. But because of that, we need more effort to produce more rice, more productivity. On the other hand, rice cultivation, paddy rice, is the main of the source of greenhouse gas emission, especially methane and nitrous oxide. Anaerobic condition, flooded condition is the source of methane, and then inorganic fertilizer, especially nitrogen, source of nitrous oxide emission. This is the agricultural sector has a multidimensional aspect. Like I mentioned before, that agricultural sector is a source of greenhouse gas emission, but also a victim of climate change due to the sea rise level, and then pest and disease infection, flood and drought, unpredictable season cause the yield loss. But we have also another opportunity to reduce greenhouse gas emission through the land and crop management and also carbon sequestration. Next. Based on the background, the objective of this review study is to evaluate the impact of rice management practices that could be implemented as technology for increasing its production as well as reducing greenhouse gas from agriculture. So, technology to reduce greenhouse gas emission from paddy rice fields must increase the yield without maintain or increase the yield, so we cannot call it greenhouse gas reduction technology. Next. So because this is the review study, the data were collected from published paper which study about technology to reduce greenhouse gas emission from paddy field in Indonesia. Next. And one of the approaches to mitigate the greenhouse gas emission from paddy field is water management, water saving technology, such as intermittent irrigation, alternate wetting and drying, and then mid-season drainage or pulse irrigation. This is the best approaches to reduce greenhouse gas emission, especially methane emission. And the reduction is almost 70% compared to flooded condition. But we have to apply wisely or not wisely, properly or correctly, because if we apply water saving technology without, we have to set how and when the best time to apply the water water saving technology. For example, how depth we have to drain the water, or when the best time in the rice stage, when the best time to apply the drainage. So if we don't do that, maybe it will cause the
yield loss. Next. And another approach is the selection of rice variety. And I use GHGI. GHGI is greenhouse gas intensity. This is the comparison between emission and yield. And from these two studies, we can see the Atomita 4 had the lowest GHGI, and from this one, ER64 showed the lowest GHGI. It means that Atomita and also ER64 give more advantages to mitigate greenhouse gas emission and produce more rice. Because each of the rice variety has morphological and also physiological characteristics, such as parenchyma. Parenchyma connect the rhizosphere and atmosphere. So this is the way to release methane and also absorb the oxygen from the atmosphere. Another characteristic, because rice varieties could release root exudate. Root exudate is the energy for the methanogenic bacteria to produce methane. Yes. And this is the cultivation method. Zero tillage resulted less GHG emission compared to conventional tillage. We make it with paddling or plowing, something like that. Because zero tillage resulted lower mineralization. Also, zero tillage can keep the sea carbon content in the soil and also nutrient in the soil. That's why the yield is higher. This one, yield is higher compared to conventional tillage. Next. How about the nutrient management? This is the application of steel slag in rice field. Second season continuously, but the GHGI showed the lower GHGI after second season, and more higher rate resulted lower GHGI. So steel slag is the byproduct of steel industry. It contains of iron, also silicate, and these two of silicate, also iron, are the electron acceptor that can suppress the methane emission from paddy rice. Silicate also increase the photosynthesis canopy, then the better growing yield, better growing plant, also better yield. Next. And this is the application of organic in the soil. So we can see both of them resulted lower nitrous oxide emission, but a little bit contradict with the yield. The first study here, the yield is higher compared to the control, because control only apply the inorganic fertilizer, but for the second, fresh straw and decomposed straw also apply in organic fertilizer. So that's why the result, the yield almost twice higher. And about this second study, the yield from organic fertilizer application show lower yield because this is fully organic. From the results show that organic fertilizer application can reach, it's almost similar with the inorganic fertilizer, need longer time. Long-term application of organic, its application is almost 5 or 10 years application of organic fertilizer. Next. For the conclusion, water management, selection, rice cultivar, nutrient management, organic, inorganic,
iron supplement cultivation method, a promising approach to achieve sustained rice production as well as to reduce GHG emission from paddy field. The effectiveness of GHG mitigation option varied. I think that's all my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. There are many patterns to cultivate paddy. And do you know what kind of pattern that can mitigate a lot of greenhouse gases?
What do you mean by pattern?
Pattern like jajar legowo, Sri method, and conventional method.
Actually, jajar legowo or conventional method, I mean, with the conventional, 20 times 20 centimeter, it's not different from the emission because the population in a square hectare, in a hectare, the area, maybe it's almost the same. Yeah, just not so
Not
different.
significantly.
No, yeah. But if you say about the Jaja Magawa should make you should use organic fertilizer, something like that. Maybe and conventional purely use inorganic fertilizer that different topic, I think, because if you use only the plant distance, maybe it's not so significantly different.
So it is not related with the greenhouse gases.
From the population, I think we have to calculate the population.
Any questions?
Can I add it to your question
Okay, yeah.
about the planting distance? So actually in our institution, we have the same institution and about 2 years ago, because we already done about the comparing about the 20 times 20 and then for the 20 and 10, something like that. And we see no difference. There is no significant difference according to the statistical analysis. So if people say that Tetarago is better in greenhouse gas emission, it's less greenhouse gas emission than in conventional, that is not in our study.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe Sensei didn't know what the meaning of Tetarago.
Yes.
Maybe-
Yeah, maybe.
It's just about the space, how to calculate the paddy in the different space. I think about it. Jajar legowo and conventional is different. Maybe we can discuss now.
Maybe.
Maybe we can. Okay, we will next to presentation. Number 7 is Pia Agustian. With the title is Anamonical Simulation to Improve the Survivors, but until then, the format on advancing land side with the disturbance cylinder diameter variation.
Try to relate what climate change. Then banyak dari Jawa dan Surabaya dan kering. Entitled numerical simulation on improvement of a 7 years vertical axis water turbine performance to advancing grid site with a circular cylinder diameter variation. Okay, outline, introduction, numerical method, the result of verification, the result of validation, result and discussion, and conclusion. Okay. Introduction, energy resources. It says fossil fuel in combustion can produce carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrogen oxide, which contribute to greenhouse gas emission, increasing global climate change. From remit literature, Indonesia in 2030 solar application only 50%, hydropower only 40%, and geothermal power only 9%. And then we have any solution about to reduce climate change, use improve performance of hydro power energy using Japanese turbine. And then the solution we use technology process, and the aim of the research to improve performance of Japanese vertical axis water turbine. Hypothesis, our hypothesis, the fluid flow cylinder occur acceleration and increasing the flow momentum. Momentum will increase about will install cylinder in side of turbine in advancing side. Circular cylinder installing on advancing grid side. Okay, numerical method. The first we make geometry in Gambit, in program Gambit, and then we run in ANSYS simulation. The boundary condition in lab, velocity inlet, pressure outlet, in constraint. This is a cylinder, circular, install a site of advancing grid. This is advancing grid, and this is a point of returning grid. For validation, for verification and validation, we use fluid. We use fluid, the fluid of water. This model Japanese conventional using cell gel and reserve in fluid. Use velocity inlet P about 7 meters per second and diameter of 1 meter. This is that data from cell gel et al. Yes. And then for the present study, the fluid we use fluid water, and then the model install and very circular cylinder diameter as figure 1. Then like this. Velocity inlet and using Buckingham theorem, we can determine velocity inlet 0.22 meter per second, diameter of turbine 0.4 meter in water. And then grid, we use grid quadrilateral because this is more accurate than triangular shape. Then grid generation for the fixed domain, A, B, with domain, and C, the rotating domain. In the rotating domain, we use sliding mesh for the simulation. Okay. The result of verification, there is 3 nodes, and then two nodes is similar result, yeah. And then about 60,000 nodes and 100 nodes, and then because the numerical simulation we use the similar result, and then because considering the time economy in the simulation would use in about 600 element for the next simulation. Okay. The next the result of validation, the data from post processing, and we choose t-square ratio and axis and ordinate cost coefficient, and then the result from the post processing of simulation. It has the result of simulation approach the value of experimental data reported by Selja et al. As saw in figure above, and then the graph is the high error in ESR of 0.7. Okay, the result of discussion, the power coefficient from the post processing, yeah, and then we can plot in graph TSR axis and power coefficient and ordinate. The first, the results show that the performance of the turbine increased for all variations, and then this is conventional 7 years, and then variation of diameter ds per d 0.1 until 0.9. From the graph, we can see the maximum power increase at ds per d of 0.7 and above 18%. And then meanwhile at ds per d of 0.9, so that installation of circular cylinder increase the performance of the turbine. And then the phenomena is flow characteristic of the edge of blade from Sabonis turbine near circular cylinder to prove the phenomena. And then this is a result of discussion of variation, and then all variation peak coefficient of power, conventional just like that, and then maximum in ds per d of 0.7, then which is 18% higher than conventional Sabonis turbine. This is corresponding ESR 0.7 about like this. And then conclusion, maximum performance occur at PS per D of 0.7 and power dilution increase in about 18% at peak speed ratio or SR of 0.7. Please, thanks for answer.
In the process of application of your model, you verify your model by air and apply to the water. Or
Add to water.
no, you verify the model by air.
Yeah, model.
I know the Indonesian world of water is high. So I'd like to confirm that it's air or water. I mean the fluid mechanics is more complicated for the air than water. So usually we use the flat model for water and the complicated model for the air. So my question is why you first verify the model by air and after apply to water?
Yes, thank you for your question. Then I think this picture, yeah? Okay, yeah. Thank you. This is data from cell chart. Then cell chart is data about 0.185 and then GP. And then the reference before use air fluid is validated, yeah, validated and verification. And then I choose I try to refer reference before and then it's like that, yeah, like that. And then the with water and then the in the theory and Buckingham theorem use can similar, yeah, is similar to air and water. Then again the same condition. Yeah, the same condition and the same condition use the same Reynolds. Then I use the same Reynolds to determine in variable. Then this variable velocity and diameter in water I take from the same Reynolds and use Buckingham theorem, and then we can obtain and get this variable parameter.
Another question? Maybe we will finish. Go to the next. Okay, next is Haryanto. The title is the intention to adopt a green products, a study on the green food products. Alright.
Study on green food product technology. Because of this research, as we know that there are many factors can influence the development of our environment. One of them is motor vehicle. And by 2050, the world about 121 motorcycle
the route in Indonesia. I think it's a big motorcycle in Indonesia. So there are more than 100 million motorcycles in Indonesia. So every motorcycle is a carbon dioxide every day in our atmosphere. So you can imagine how many CO2 in our atmosphere every day. To resist the effect of emission of motorcycle, Pertamina, big company in Indonesia, launched a new product, namely Pertalite. But by 2017, instead of Pertalite, that is claimed more environmentally friendly, not make the target yet. So consumption of premium is still high. Premium is the previous fuel product by Pertamina that is not more friendly to our environment because the support of octane is very low in Pertalite. From this situation, the objective of this study is to examine the incidence of attitude toward invention to adopt a green product or innovation product because the Pertalite is innovation product from the previous product that is more friendly to our environment. From previous research, there are many variables that will construct to be a business model. Firstly, price fairness and product knowledge. When we talk about price fairness, it's that we are not talking about high price or low price, but we talk about logical and acceptable price. This is very different. When we say high price, maybe I say that is high price, but my friend said no, this is low price. So this is very subjective. So in this research, this price means that the price is acceptable for every consumer. And then product knowledge is about the ingredient of product. It's about every information related to product because usually customer get more concerned about product. Next. The second variable or the third variable in our model is relative advantage. Israel said that relative advantage is the level of this consumer that new product will have superiority over others. So if the new product see with old product, there are no relative advantage of the new one. Usually, customer will reject the new because this is significant. New innovation product must be able to show that the product has a relative advantage. So customer might want to buy because the new product is have a new feature or something like that. The next attitude. Attitude is about response. Maybe it's favorable or not favorable. Again, because this is a response from stimulus, the position of attitude variable not independent. But usually, position of attitude variable is a mediation variable. But in this research, we will not examine about the mediation variable. We just want to expose the reason about some variable in solution. The next. Intention. Intention is tendency. Usually a customer have a high intention. It means that more than 80% customer will buy or will use that product. So the variable is good proxy for action. Next, from some variable, we construct a model. That is the research model. There are three independent variables: price fairness, product knowledge, and relative advantage. And the next variable is attitude, and the dependent variable is intention. In this case, intention to use pertalite. Next, the next step is methodology, population and sample. The population in the study is the people in Surakarta city who consume gasoline. And the sample is the member of population who know the difference between pertalite and premium product. If someone cannot make a difference about pertalite and premium, so they cannot to be our respondent. Okay? For collecting data, we use questionnaire. Okay? Questionnaire have to pass the instrument test, namely validity test and reliability test. For validity test, we use factor analyze. We can see from the slide that loading factor of all items in our study is more than 4.5. It means that instrument pass the validity test. Correct? Reliability test. Rule of thumb for reliability test is that Kronberg alpha score is more than 4.6. All variables of our research, score of Kronberg alpha is more than 4.6. So we can say that this instrument is valid and variable. So when we can use this instrument, we can use this instrument for collecting data. Next, data analyze. Total of respondents of our research is around 120 participants, but around 20 participants not pull the questionnaire correctly. So we just have around 100 respondents because the respondent is not big yet, just people around 100. So we choose PLS software to analyze our data. We cannot use Israel or Amos because the amount of respondent is not enough. We can see that from this statistic analyze all variable pass the rule of thumb. If we use values 5% significant level, so the statistic of tabel must more than 1.96. We can see that the statistic is every relation of variable, the statistic result is more than 1.96. It means that all the relationships in our research not rejected. Next. Conclusion. The intention to adopt an innovative product, especially a green product, depends on the consumer response after getting some stimulus. You can see the slide before. And then, according to the study, relative advantage is the most powerful variable in predicting consumer response. And then, overall, price fairness, product knowledge, and relative advantage are a good predictor for ethical variable in intention to adopt a new innovative product. Okay, this is the financial reported by the General of Higher Education of Indonesia. I think this all of presentation. Yep. Can I explain details about the attitude? How did you ask about attitude? It's composed of some indicators. If you have information, please. Okay. Thank you very much. Attitude is what response after getting some stimulus. In this research, the indicator of attitude is this is about if I plan to buy a car, right? It is a wise decision. What is the difference between attitude and intention? Yeah, attitude is a good predictor for intention. Indicator of intention is I will buy a car, right? I will buy a car, right? Attitude is I plan my plan to buy a car is good decision. This is a response from some stimulus. But intention is usually more than 80%. The person will take action. So usually I will buy it. I plan to buy it. Maybe attitude is more value judgment. Yes. This is good or wrong. Yeah. It's included the attitude. The intention is the action. After action, what you think and intention. Yeah. This is a wise decision. This is a good decision. This is a bad decision. Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you.
In the earlier introduction, you mentioned that there is still lack of interest of people to buy internet by the end of 2017. Yeah. But how about 2018? Because we are now at the end of the year. I mean, like, is there any study that says how people change their minds by internet or not in this year?
Then we know that this year and the next year is politics year. So Augustine said that some gas station must sell premium more. So we can conclude that in this year and next year, the sale of premium is more high than 170.
Yeah, that was what the government said, but is there any study that said some kind of data or something else?
I'm sorry, we don't know about the last data for the consumption of the. Maybe we will check again. For many sale of premium in 2018. Thank you.
Number 9 is Miriam D. Identity with the title is We Must Smart Agriculture, based on PPE, review, CXT, activation, and compliance of its implementation of the preliminary study.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. So I would like to present my research paper entitled "The Climate Smart Agriculture to Increase Productivity and Reduce CO2 Emissions." This is only a preliminary study. Yeah. I would like to focus here on the climate smart agriculture. So this is actually a concept or approach that has been introduced by FAO, that is the agriculture that sustainably increase productivity, increase resilience to adaptation, and but at the same time also could reduce or remove the CO2 emissions to enhance the achievement of national food security and development goals. And as we all know that agriculture actually is one of the sources, the anthropogenic source of CO2 emissions. It is estimated for about 40% globally and about 7 to 8% in Indonesia. Only from the rice cultivation, especially from the CS4, is about 60% from that 8% in Indonesia. That's the estimation is the picture is about that. So as we all know that we all, including agriculture, should reduce our emissions by 2030, by 2050. We have the national determined contributions, which the national determined contribution to reduce the CO2 emissions, and one of the sector that has to reduce the emissions is agriculture. It should reduce its emissions for about 9 metric ton to 13 metric ton under 2030. So we here try to setting up a field experiment. This is at the farmer scale, and but we also should remember that the climate change mitigation will never be the main goal for agriculture, because the main goal for agriculture is to adapt to the climate change. But the co-benefit that the adaptation action that has the co-benefit mitigation action is also included in this approach that's said by the ICCC in 2014. Next. So we try to conduct the field experiment. We purposefully choose 3 districts in Central Java, and it actually in 6 sites. So there is 2 sites in each district. We have the Virgin Village in Banjarnegara, we have Senan Village in Purbalingga, and we have Silado Village in Banyumas. For the 2 sites in each village, it is applied with the CSA management, and 1 site is for the farmers practice. So we just compare for these 2 management. But the exception for the Banjarnegara and Northern Village, for the CSA, since we were found that there is a farmers indigenous organic farming that has been a long-term since when we conduct our experiment, they were in there about 9 years to conduct the farmers indigenous farming. So we decided to measure this indigenous farming and we compare it with the conventional the farmers practice. Yes. So this is the management practice that we call the CSA that we are applying in the sites. For the adaptations, we use the cropping calendar to determine the planting date. This is actually one of the agriculture ministry has widely introduced to farmer extension, to farmers, to every government in every district to use this cropping calendar, so they will get the proper date to start their planting date. So it will minimize the risk of crop failure or pest and disease. And we also apply the full tillage here and not the no tillage because the condition of the soil. That's what we decide. Next. And we also apply the organic management used in the form of compost, 3 tons per hectare to to increase soil fertility, to increase water holding capacity, and to increase soil organic carbon, of course. And to determine the basal fertilizer for the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, we use the soil testing. Why we use the soil testing? Because what we found in this two districts, that the extension workers, the farmers actually, they already have this kit, but they never use it. So it kind of just throw it in, just keep it and never look back or try to use it in the field. So that's why we try to introduce, we help them to learn how to use it and the advantage of using this kit. And then we also use a certified seed to minimize the risk of pest and disease, of course. And for the water management, we apply the intermittent irrigation because for the rice cultivation, water is the most factor affecting the methane emissions. So with application of intermittent irrigation, like what my colleague has said, that comparing with this continuous planting, intermittent irrigation or alternate wetting and drying is better and less emission. And for determine the fertilizer, the nitrogen fertilizer for after the basal fertilizer, we managed to use the leaf color chart. This leaf color chart also available in all of the districts. So that is why we managed to use this. And we also plan some piezometer to monitor the water level. Just a single piezometer like this. And for the weed handling, to eliminate pesticide use, we done it manually or using gas rock. And this is our great experiment, which conducted from April to June 2016. The gas sampling is using manually closed chamber method, and the gas sample was taken 5 times during the planting season. It was in 18, 26, 32, and 17 days after first planting. And the closed chamber was made from acrylic materials, and this is the description in the field. This one, so the farmers, between the farmers practice and the CSA technology management is not so far. So we managed to use near sites, and this what and this blue square here is to describe our measurement, the gas measurement. So we at the sites, each site we have 4 replicates, and then the samples analyzed in our laboratory, in CHA laboratory, using for the CS4 we are using the gas chromatograph equipped with the IT, and then for the N2O we use the gas chromatograph equipped with the ECD detector. And this is the global warming potential. This is actually the from methane, both methane and nitrous oxide, which equal to CO2 and CO2 from the 2 management practices, the CSA and the farmers practice. In the 6 sites, as you can see here, the dark one is the CSA, and then the light one is for the farmers practice. You can see that the global warming potential from the 2 gases, the methane and the nitrous oxide, would decrease but vary at all sites. The emissions from cilantro is actually the lowest between the other 2 districts. And as we all know that the GHG emissions is affected by many factors. environmental factors. There's many factors, and in this paper, I'm not focused on what factors that affect the GHG emissions, but in this paper, I was more focused on the CSA as a concept, the bigger picture of the CSA. Next. And we also monitor the economic farming. We also done the economic farming analysis is under this dual cultivation technique in the sixth type, and this is what we have here. The lowest cost of CSA is mainly due to the lower use of synthetic fertilizer. This is what we found that with implementation of both soil test kit and leaf culture, the fertilizer, the synthetic fertilizer, is reduced almost 35 to 40% from the conventional farming. And you can see here the revenue in Morden is the highest. This is due to the price of organic rice because they were pure organic and they were already in their 8 years. So their yield is high compared to the other. Next. And this is the yield and also the GWP. So the yield increase and the GWP decrease are very the highest yield, but lowest GWP decrease is in Morden in here, and the higher yield and highest GWP decrease happen in Silado. Next. So what we could conclude here that the CSA system could reduce the GHG emissions for about 7 to 33% from the farmers' practice, increase yield about 0.7 to 1.9 ton per hectares. The GDP decrease and farmers' benefit vary greatly along sites as we can see previously, but at least this measurement provides an evidence that the CSA farming system as a bigger picture is more environmental friendly and economically feasible. And as you remember that this is only preliminary research, so a further measurement and assessment in multi-years and multi-location needs to be conducted to reduce the uncertainty. And we also like to thank for the GIZ for funding this research and also collaborate with IFAF and for the CNT Research Group member in Indonesian Agriculture Research Institute.
I was surprised at the cost of the organic farming is cheaper than farmers' practice. I think they don't use the chemical material. The labor cost should be higher in organic activity. Why in this exam the cost for organic farming is cheaper than farmers' practice?
As I mentioned before that there is their indigenous organic farming, so they have what we call they have their like microbe. And it was enriched with their combined. They produce their own organic fertilizer that is very cheap. That
How about
weeding, they use the manual weeding. Manual, yeah.
Most
Yeah.
for big size?
Yeah.
Farmers don't use big pesticides.
No pesticides. No pesticides at all. They're pure organic. And from their explanation that at first at 1 to 3rd year the yield is low, only 2 to 3 ton per hectares, but it did increase in time. years they gain 6 tons.
My worry is if the labor cost cheaper than chemical fertilizer, it cannot be safe, but sustainable.
The labor,
Okay.
okay, but
This is my
just so you know that they use the family labor, so they don't need to pay for water. Number 10 is simplicity. We will try to use land management strategy for cocoa cultivation and cocoa production.
My file is cannot open, I don't know.
The last question for last. That's okay, right?
It gives me great pleasure to stand here to present my paper. First of all, I would like to address the global issue is climate change that give impact on many activities, especially on human activities. So we know that climate change which make a daily temperature that is higher than usual. So these occurrences give impact on daily temperature that is higher than usual. So of course, the plant production give the special impact on this. So I want to help the farmer, especially the manual or not in the real estate of cocoa production. So this, I try to get the method or the way how to manage the land management for cocoa production. So it is my team of the research. Please, next. Okay. In Pacitan, east of Java, there are many people plantation that need a special attention because they cultivated the cocoa at home garden. So we know is at home garden there are many constraints about low of light intensity, low of relative humidity, low of soil fertility, and low of soil moisture. Because of the stratification of canopy give effect on microclimate. So it's triggered also by the enhancement of temperature. So it makes the cocoa production is lower than usual. I think it has to be combined, the technology, ecology, and economy to get the real cocoa production, especially in people plantation, not in real plantation like estate. Next. So the main constraint is low light intensity at home garden. Why it is the constraint? Why it is the important constraint? Because if there are the low light intensity, so there will be disrupt the formation of chlorophyll B, and it's make the reduction of reaction center activity of chlorophyll A, and so those make time of flowering and time of fruit set and time of harvest has been disturbed by the chlorophyll performance. So as there is a technology that can help this condition, and in my mind there are nitrogen enhancement to support chlorophyll synthesis, chlorophyll activity, and productivity. So there are nitrogen fertilization technology. I think it's the important thing is to find how is the dose of the nitrogen that can replace the low light intensity. So it has to be found the effective of the dose for the replacement of low light intensity, and then make seed quality really good. The material and method in this research is kind of research is qualitative, descriptive, and field experiment, of course. Time and place, March to August 2017, and the place is Klepu 1, Jatisari, Klepu 2, and Puno Village District, Puno, and Pacitan Regency is of Java, and the population as sample is right. And result in this discussion. At the first time, I analyzed the soil condition at home garden. So we see here that the soil parameter, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, CEC, C organic material, and pH, it's the category moderate, low, and moderate. But see here, we can see that organic material is too high at home garden. So the content of organic material, which causes immobilization of organic material, because the fertilizer that give in this condition make a competition with microorganisms. So many trees cover cocoa which reduce light transmission, and receive by cocoa only just 4.4 until 11.14. And in this processing, cocoa need 15% of light for optimum photosynthesis. This is the result of nitrogen fertilizer and leaf tissues. We see here, for the first month after urea application, 2 months and 3 months of urea application. So we see here that N content in the leaves range from this on the first and second months after urea application, and then increase in the third month, only 0.5%. This shows that there are any immobilization, nitrogen immobilization, that can be explained from the high content of organic material, more than 5%. And microorganisms will more active to decompose organic material. So this is, there are a constraint, the main constraint of this is because there are competition between microorganisms and the leaf, and the cocoa plant. Next is microclimate and seed character. We see here from the physical aspect, the number of seed per 100 gram is category and AA and C. It according to SNE. SNE is Standard Nasional Indonesia. And from chemical aspect, the content of protein 20%, lipid 47%, and polyphenol 6%. It is in accordance with SN. And the correlation analysis show that the temperature positively correlated with physical and chemical quality. So the chemical quality of seed is depends on temperature condition. If temperature below optimum causes falls of flowers and younger fruit, and then which develop imperfectly. So if there are something wrong with temperature, so it means that we can consider that fall of flower and younger fruit will not develop anymore. This is the nitrogen and seed character. We see here all of the seed character that I wrote there. And we see that low light intensity because it cultivated at home garden gave impact on performance of chlorophyll B as an antenna pigment, lower than high intensity condition. And fertilizer will increase photosynthesis activity in the dose of 870 gram per tree per year. We show on all variables. On all variables, we can find urea dose at 170 gram per tree of cocoa, of course. And this is the picture of dose of urea affected the protein and lipid content, whereas polyphenol was not significantly affected. We can see from R square. The conclusion is microclimate does not give significantly impact on seed character, but only just low light intensity becomes an important consideration. And the second, the light intensity is received by cocoa tree, just only this, but application of urea as big as 870 gram per tree improve the quality of seed. And the quality of seed are determined by the number of seed per 100 gram. Protein, lipid, and polyphenol content. And the recommendation of my research is application of urea is considered as the replacement factor for low light intensity. Cocoa cultivation should be supported with appropriate dose of nitrogen. But I repeated, and I have a recommendation just for people plantation, not in cocoa plantation, right? Real estate that we knows about the big plantation. So it is just for people plantation, because in Pacitan there are many people plantation that cultivated cocoa. Thank you.
write a second order equation here. Second order equation.
Like a question? Okay.
Because yes, in the conclusion, you mentioned that optimized area is about 800, but this is correct.
Okay.
P can be calculated from this equation.
In this graph, I just want to explain this. The higher of using urea dose, it makes the pattern of protein, lipid, and polyphenol higher increase, but after and the optimum condition, there will be decrease. This graph is the meaning of graph is like
Yeah. Then you can say that optimized area is about 500.
okay.
But
Okay. Yeah. I know. Uses of urea, doses of urea in 800. But we know that in this condition, my variable is just protein, lipid, and polyphenol. So it is the seed character. But in this 870 just to replace the low light intensity. To replace the low light intensity, because the low light intensity make the performance of chlorophyll will be low. I mean, this graph is mean like. Thank you.
One person.
You use the plan with the same port.
Okay, yeah. Maybe I write it in method, result and method. Sorry, method. Yeah. Sample of cocoa is 4 and 5 years old. 4 trees are repeated 3 times at every village. I have 3 villages, and every village I choose the 4 and 5 years old of cocoa. So it is the same old of cocoa.
When you use urea, the plant has a flower or seeds. When you use urea,
The plant is just there,
yes.
and then I put the urea around the tree of cocoa.
What the time you
Use the urea.
Urea.
Okay, I put the urea 3 times before before initiation of flower, and then the form of fruit, and the final at the end of the urea use is at harvest, before harvest. So 3 times. My experiment March to August, it just that I put the urea, but it is the multi-years research. Yeah, I have researched it as 2 years, not just 1 year, but 2 years. Because if I just know in 1 year there is nothing, so I continue this research, and yeah, after the
Okay, thank you so much. Maybe still have one question. Maybe question is Kali Bahasana. With the title is Land Suitability Evaluated for Sweet Corn in Cropping and Molecular Units.
undertake with student contains classes. And okay, today I would like to show you about my paper. Little land suitability equation for Surakarta in the cropping period at one village, Karanganyar. Yes, we all know that fluctuating rainfall is direct impact of the climate change, which is cause negative impact for the agricultural sector, such as shift in cropping pattern, cropping period, agricultural production, and agricultural product. And then most area of Monastery village is a rain field, so that the availability of water is depend on the rain. So that in third cropping period, the land left in available condition during the cropping period. So that will result low land productivity and farmers income. And then land suitability evaluation is needed and planning of productive and sustainable land use. Surakarta is one of commodity that considered in the effort to optimize the land because Surakarta has short production age, so the land used to cultivate other crops. And the research is conducted in Manado district. The method is divided into 4 steps. Step 1 is survey, and step 2 map overlay, step 3 data analysis, and the last matching data between the farm land growth requirement and the data on the characteristics of the land from each land map unit. Yes. Land map unit was obtained by overlaying administration map, then soil type map, slope, and land use map. When Monastery village was classified into 4 land map units, and every land map unit is over limiting factors that can affect its productivity. Yeah. Yes. The soil characteristics observed include slope, drainage, soil depth, erosion hazard, flood hazard, texture, organic carbon, cation exchange capacity, precipitation, pH, potassium, and phosphorus. But the table only presents some of them because the other data is included in the S1 class or highly sustainable unit. It means without any improvement effort, the land is suitable for Surakarta. And based on the matching data, we get actual land suitability, and in general, entire land map unit is included in N class. N class means class with heavy limiting factor that it's difficult to overcome the limiting factor. So next. Yes, from figure 1, we know that
um, actual land suitability map for sweet corn is include N class with limiting factor, minimal rainfall, and high crude material. But in this case, limiting factor can it still be possible to be solved by rearranging the planting period, but the crude material cannot be overcome. So we get potential and suitability and suitability. However, the characteristic which was classified and marginally suitable as free could not be ruled out to obtain the optimal potential class based on the improvement effort as using the figure B, improvement effort for the N class and S class. We get potential and suitability map include yes, just S2 and S2 is moderately suitable and N class. N class means cannot be overcome with the high improvement. So next, yes, limiting factors. These limiting factors in the actual land suitability include in S3 or marginally suitable. Yes, first, high crude material can be improved by adding organic matter, and then low base saturation by fertilizing using lime to soil, and low available potassium by fertilizing organic and unorganic, returning faded straw to soil, flooding in the faded field. And the last, low rainfall by selection of the right planting period. Yes. In the figure 2, from the monthly rainfall graph, we know that the rainfall is considered minimal to meeting the water needs of corn. So this is reasonable because the cropping period takes place in a dry season that runs during June to September. So if farmers plant sweet corn in this period, it will cause problems in the term of production cost. The uncertain rainfall will affect the established cropping pattern in the relative because it affects the availability of groundwater. Selection the right planting period will minimize the risk of plant experience or stress in the critical phase of the actual suitability class classified as not stable with minimal rainfall. It's possible to overcome and high crude material content as limiting factor. And the minimal rainfall can be overcome by rearranging the cropping period of sweet corn from the planting season 3 to planting season 1 or 2. This is an effort to adapt to the climate change. The improvements were also conducted to the marginally suitable class by providing the organic materials, fertilizing land, cleaning and loading in the renovation field. Then, based on the product improvement, potential lines will be delivered as classified as moderately suitable class for S2 and not suitable for N class. Thank you for your attention.
The main goal is one of the limitation. I'd like to recommend to consider the variation table for the to apply the continuous average for the mark system. In those 10 years, some years the table is the other years table. But the point is, how much is expected at least every year? It's the point. So, with constant variation.
Between 2000 something, it's still minimal to meet the plant water in the 10 years. So it's still minimal.
We apply, we adopt the minimum rainfall in 10 years, not the average.
The effort is still minimal. The effort still minimal for 10 years.
Okay, maybe we will continue business together and then next it for lunch time. Please have a lunch in the restaurant in the lobby area, in the first floor and then lobby area. And then after time is until 1:30. So after 1:30, we should be ready. Okay, that's for the
disimpan saya enggak masalah.